Hello. Okay, let's go. Today I don't know what I'll be doing, but I'll be on Google Earth. Okay, today what I'm doing is we are going to be going through a list of all the most densely populated states in Nigeria. Now the list is as follows. According to Wikipedia, according to Wikipedia, the top one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. Okay. Let's do the top. Let's just go through the states, all of them. It's not like we are going anywhere. Today is a public holiday. Let's do all the states, right? By population density. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Mhm, mhm. Mhm, 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 mhm. Mhm, mhm. Mhm. Mm. Mhm. Also, why is the pitch rate not good? There's that same pitch rate. Okay. Mm. Okay. Let's see if the map is showing all the states. Yeah, it's showing the states. So according to my list, the top five most densely populated states in Nigeria are Lagos, Anambra, Imo, Abia, and Akwa Ibom states. So let's start with Lagos State. Lagos State is located here in the southern west corner of Nigeria, and you can see follow as usual follow my cursor, and you can see this gray line is the border of Lagos State, right? Yeah, this slither of land, this slither of land by the ocean is the entirety of Lagos State. In comparison, see the next state, Ogun State. Yeah, Ogun State. This is Ogun State that completely surrounds Lagos State. You can see how little is Lagos State compares in size with all of this, when this is just Lagos. And now in this small space, right, about, I don't know if it's 16 million or 17 million, I don't know, people live here. And you can see the impact. You can literally see the impact of this city. You can see the size of the built up area where people live in tightly packed spaces. You can see it's, if you zoom in, there's barely, all of this is houses and houses and houses and built up areas on end, and it's, like they say, a concrete jungle. Yeah, so while Lagos, the state, is the smallest in landmass, about 3,000 something square kilometers in size, right? While Lagos is the smallest in landmass, it manages to pack a huge amount of people in this small land, and a huge, um sizable amount of the built up area, sorry, and the sizable amount of the land mass of Lagos is built up. You can see all the way. This is Lekki, Songotedo, Awoyaya, Lakwe, or can go all the way to Ibeju and Ekpe. These are now where, this is where it gets a bit sparse and rural, right? This is the refinery, I think. Yeah, this is the refinery at the other end of. Yeah, this looks like, this is a refinery. Oh, you know what? Let's see if we can go down there and see what it looks like. Mm. We can only pass through, but they're like circles. Let's see what that looks like. Mm. Yeah, this is the refinery at Lekki. This picture was taken in 2023. Yeah, this is the refinery at Lekki. Yeah, and Lagos continues until here at the city of the town, maybe village of Odeomi, right? Here in the lagoons. So you can see that almost all of Lagos is lagoon. You see, a sizable amount of it is lagoon. So which really makes uh, the built-up areas just really dense, because there's very little space for anything else to be built. You get. See, like Eco Atlantic City. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Victoria Island. Can you clear it up? Yep, Victoria Island. Anywho, this is not about Lagos, so I just wanted to show you the most densely part of the most densely popul density Chineke, the most densely populated area of Nigeria. You can see how Lagos spills into um Ogun State here, all the way to, like, and see, this is along Ojudu Bega. This is along Lagos Ibadan Expressway. You can see there's even a bit of break here before it gets to Ibafo and Mowe. But here, if you're going through all this, if you're going through Ogba and and Obarole area, or like Ifako, you won't even know when you've entered into Ogun State, really. See, Ota, these are all like suburbs of Lagos, really, that are in Ogun State. So you can see Lagos really spills. Millions of people live in Ogun State, in all these areas that work in Lagos. This is an industrial area too that serves Lagos. This is Agbara Estate and all of these areas. Anyhow, so the next most densely populated state in Nigeria is, I was going to do drum rolls, but then I remember that I did list the top five at the beginning of this video. So there is that. There is that. Give me a minute. Anambra State. Anambra State is also the second smallest state by land mass in Nigeria. I think it has about 4,000 something something square kilometers. Yeah, 4,844 square kilometers. It's the smallest, second smallest state after, excuse me, after Lagos State. And it has a population of about 7 million people, estimated population of about 7 million people, right? Now let's zoom in to the city of Onitsha. I want to show you something, right? The city of Onitsha is the city that is at um the east bank of the Niger River. See the city of Onitsha. Uh, let's see. Let's see if there's street view in Onitsha. Well, there's no street view in Onitsha. Now, why I'm showing you Onitsha is that Onitsha is a very sprawling city, just like Lagos, in the sense that there is never look. I compare this, right? This is empty land where nobody lives in, right? Because I think it floods from the right River Niger, and then this other side is where people live, and you see that it's an unending array of small towns, small towns, small towns, dots everywhere. There's barely space for bush. You get? It's it's all occupied. Before you know it, you're in the next town, Ekulobia, and there's even space before Ekulobia. There's Sofia, there's Ibuku, and you're in Nnewi. Nnewi is just across this river valley from Obosi and Onitsha. All of these places you can commute within these places, all these towns, and live within it. Like if you zoom out, you can see what I mean. You can see what I mean. All of these small things are you're seeing. Zoom in, you see it's plenty towns. So many towns. Right? You zoom in. Everywhere. Houses everywhere. Houses everywhere. Now it's not as densely packed as Lagos, obviously, but it is densely packed, right? Almost the whole area, just like Lagos, is built up. Again, this is because it is a small state with a lot of people living in it. But then there's also a lot of commercial activity also going on within it. So it makes sense that especially south of the Anambra River. So if the more north you move, if I zoom in here, you'll find that these places have a lot more empty land, and no, and there are fewer towns and built up areas in this area. This is because this area floods a lot. So this is the river Anambra. Follow my cursor. This is the Anambra River, and this is the Niger River. They meet just north of Onitsha. However, these places between the river, these V-shaped places between the two rivers, tend to flood a lot, especially during rainy season. So that's why most of it is not that built up. But everywhere, which also makes Anambra so dense, because this place gets flooded, this place gets flooded. The only areas that are a bit higher above in elevation is where everybody lives. Oka is a bit away from, yes, Oka is a bit off. You can see that Oka as a town is a bit off from the rest. But if you look here from this area, if I zoom out and look, you see this continuous dense population in Anambra State. And when places are very densely populated, you tend to see it from above. You see what we mean? It's there's no there's no empty space except for, well, here, like I said, are floods. The second most densely populated city, Abi State, sorry, in Nigeria is Imo State. Now, if you zoom in here, you see that just like with Ogun and Imo State, sorry, Ogun and Lagos, Anambra and Imo just bleed into each other. border just crosses in the middle of people's towns, people's villages, because again, there isn't space between any village or any town. They are all continuous stream of uh, urbanized areas or semi-urbanized areas from Onitsha all the way to Owerri. If you're driving the Onitsha Owerri expressway, which I drive almost once or twice every year, you will notice that throughout the road is just small villages after town after town after town after town after town. There's barely a stretch of the road that is just wilderness. Barely. This is the road I'm talking about. Especially maybe you're that's when you're like crossing all these river valleys like this. But there's barely any part of that of this road. See Ihiala and see where it crosses into Imo State into from Uli. Okay, Uli is the town where there used to be the what do you call that thing? The airstrip that Biafrans used during the Civil War. Anyhow, so and you cross into Mbidi in Imo State, and yeah, again, these parts of Imo State are a bit more rural, but look at the north of Imo State. Look at how he elaborates into Nkwere. What another example is like if you're going to from Anambra to Umuahia, you instead of going into Imo State, you usually turn off in Ihiala and you drive to Olo. Right, this journey from Ihiala to Olo, you don't even know where Ihiala stops and the next city and next town stops, or where the next town stops, and all and the next one starts all the way to Olo. It's just a continuous stream of small villages and towns that are not separated by that's really only small like it's only like you see river valleys like this that are actual like call it wilderness areas or something like that. Only small patches of I guess these are farmlands. Aside from that, it's almost continuously see all of this continuously uh, built up. Now these are the more empty areas that we have this huge plantation in. Yeah. Anywho, the next most densely populated state in Nigeria is drumroll. Oh, I forgot to say, Imo State is also the third uh, smallest state in Nigeria after Lagos, Anambra, Imo. It makes sense. The states are small with because it's small, it means that there's fewer space for people to, expand. So which means the places are just going to be more densely populated. Like from here we come down to the next state, Abia State. Now, most of the most densely populated areas of Abia State are kind of in the south. See the city of Aba, for example, tightly, very tightly packed, right? This is the Kenny that they always post on social media, right? So outside of Aba in the south of Abia State here, you can see all those small towns, but they are not as densely packed as they are in Imo State or in what do you call that place again? Anambra, for example. But yeah, you can still see them towns linked to other towns, just close by each other, not too far away from each other in the south. But however, the more you move towards the north of Abia State, it's uh, towns start to space out from each other and it becomes less dense. Umuahia is the last major town is the town in the major is the major town in the central of Abia State, and then on the north there's just a string of towns that follow this hill. There's a range of small hills here that now head south into Arachuku. But this area in the between the north and south, between the north and central Abia State is it's just the only least not very dense area, as you can see If you zoom in, you can see it's large swaths of like empty land. Unlike here, for example. Yeah. So that's Abia State. Guess the next most densely populated state in Nigeria. Yes, you guessed right. It is Akwa Ibom State. Akwa Ibom State has two major towns, cities in it. There's Uyo here, and there's Korekbene here. Again, just like with those Igbo states we just came from, the villages and towns are so close to each other. They are all interconnected. They're not that spaced out. So the land is again tightly packed, leading to a dense population. So I'm always curious whenever I come to Akwa Ibom State here on the map, and I'm like looking at the border with Abia State, and I see how small, not how small, how close these villages are. See how close Abala is to Ntoroka, no, Nsendong, right? And these people speak Igbo and these people speak Anang or Ibibio, and it's just how many kilometers apart? But 6 kilometers apart. 6 kilometers apart. It's insane. Like I went to school here. I did my senior secondary school in this village, right? And just across the river is a this is the village. This is an Igbo village, Ngwa. They speak Ngwa here. And this village here they speak Anang. Just it's not bah bah 2 kilometers. It's literally just walk down this hill and climb up the other hill. It's just all. Anywho, the people, the villagers in the village where I went to school, they all could, many of them, not all of them, were bilingual. They spoke both Ibibio or Anang and Igbo. You get? They spoke both Ibibio and Igbo specifically. So yeah, that was a digression. So these are the first four most densely populated states in Nigeria. Five rather. So guess the next most populated state in Nigeria. Yes, we are going all the way to Kano State. You can, if you're looking carefully, you can see the impact of Kano City on the map. Because all around here we can see dry, kind of like dry climate land-ish, and then we can see this. This is a very densely packed city. Most of the population of Kano State lives in Kano, which ends up giving Kano the population density that it has. Also, Kano State, in comparison with other states around it, is relatively, okay, I was going to say relatively small, but it's relatively mid-sized. Because see how ginormous Kaduna is. So Kaduna is bigger, is huge. So that means even though Kaduna has a large population, because it's huge, the population density is a bit more spread out, right? Or like a bit more median or mid. I don't know the word. But Kano State is small in comparison and has a way larger population. So of course the density is going to be huge. And like I said, most of that is owed to the city of Kano, densely packed city in the middle of the Sudan savannah. Let's see. So this is the ancient city of Kano. Let's see a street view through the old city of Kano, and then we're gonna see some street view through the like more recent new city of Kano. Kano, put them together. Django is the king of the jungle. Everybody say ja ja ja. Everybody say go. Put them together. Django is the king of the jungle. Okay, so that was the old city of Kano. So let's see. Okay, let's go to Sabongari. This is Sabongari. Sabongari, I think, was built by the colonial masters, right, as a place where non-Kano indigenes, I think that's the way I'll put it. That's like Christians and other Nigerians that were not from Kano, lived. Yeah, so you can see the grid pattern that is very, let's say, iconic of those of colonial cities across Nigeria in Sabongaris across the north. Everybody say ja ja ja. Everybody say go go go. Anywho, so you'll see this is where you see most of the Christians, most of the uh Nigerians that are not Hausa, Southerners, yeah. Southerners live in Sabongaris. But that's not a rule. You get, I just mean historically. Yeah. So Kano State densely populated mostly because of the Kano city. Outside of that, we can see what I mean by the south is very very densely populated. Is that this is I can zoom in like this and see just empty land. You cannot do that in Anambra State. Somebody lives there. I can zoom in here, right? And it's empty land or like farmland or whatever. But if I do that in Anambra, 200 people will live in this. What's 200? 500 people will be living in this space. That's what population density basically is, right? So the larger the landmass, and it thins out the population density. Yes. So, oh wow, I've just been talking for 30 minutes. Why does it feel longer? The next most populate, no, not most populated states. The next state with the most population density is. Can you guess? Drum rolls. Okay, I'm not me saying can you guess as if there's somebody listening, as if I am not talking into the void. Ah, ah, ah. The next most densely populated state in Nigeria is Enugu State. Enugu State is a state that is situated on Enugu, which is on top of hill. The Udi Hills run through these states from top to bottom, really kind of splitting the states into two. But then the Udi Hills are not really that high, so I guess you're not splitting anything if you can just drive over it pretty easily. So there's Enugu. Here you can see this. This just looks like the consistency you see in Anambra or in maybe not Anambra. Anambra is more densely populated in Imo or Abia states, right? But then this middle area is mostly uh left alone, uninhabited because of the hills. So that's what has helped to maybe make Enugu less dense. And Enugu is also the I think the largest state by land mass in the southeast. So that also helps thin out the population density in Suka on top of the hill there. And the next one is, are you going to be shocked when I say it is Ebonyi State? Well, it is Ebonyi State. While Ebonyi State is the least dense populated, oh, Chineke, is the least densely populated state in the southeast, it still manages to be more populated, more densely populated than other states in Nigeria. Because don't forget that Enugu Ebonyi has a very small population. Ebonyi is one of the least populated states in Nigeria. But what makes it stand out when it comes to density is You guessed it, it is a small state. It is a small state in size. So, like I said, the smaller the land, the more likely for it to be less, plenty but densely populated. So, let's go next one. The next state is guess, guess. River State. Yeah, yeah. River State is about, I think, 7,000 square kilometers or so. Let me see. And let me pretend like I want to be correct. Oh, River State is actually large. River State is about 11,000 square kilometer. That's like the double, about double the size. Maybe not exactly double. Maybe the small of it, right? About. Please don't quote me. I said about double the size of Abia State, which is just directly north of it. Now, funnily enough, most of this population live in this northern east central corridor of River State, because south is just creeks and swamps, and it's more difficult to live here. But you can, if you zoom in, you can see some of this. Okay, I think this is an oil exploration something. You can see some towns within the creeks, like this Soku. Is that a town? Yes, look at this. That is a small town in the creek. Like there's no other way to get here but by boats, right through the creeks and all of that. Is this an oil thing? Probably an oil thing. So yeah, this place is the delta. This place is this swamps and creeks. This Bayelsa State is pretty much empty, but just at the, if you can see how the southern part of Port Harcourt is barely hanging in there, but like, and the rest, and Port Harcourt is only growing northwards, right? Port Harcourt is probably going to grow this way and this way, which makes me feel like at some point in the future the cities of Port Harcourt and Aba are probably going to be blending into each other, and I hope that the people who are in charge of the cities are planning towards that eventuality, because the the built up area along the road is already happening, and I think there's a development that's happening around this area, planned for this area, the Imba economic city or something. So the merging of the two cities is going to happen at some point in the future, and it will be good to start planning. I mean, like, good transport connection between the cities, so that people who live in uh, Port Harcourt but do business in Aba can do easily, which is a lot. People who live in Aba and do business in Port Harcourt can do that easily, because it's a lot, right? Because, like I said, the two cities are just 30 minutes away from each other. Finally, the 10th most populated, densely populated city is, guess. Well, you'll be wrong, because it is Ekiti State. This is Ekiti State. Now, the thing about settlements in southwest Nigeria is that they are huge on cities. You get, there's city here, there's a city here, and in between those cities is just empty land. You get, this is why it's less dense, or this empty land. The population centers are very centralized and concentrated. Unlike those ones in Igbo land, where when you zoom in, there's a town. You get, there's a town every, there's towns after towns after towns after towns. The populations here are just concentrated in, like, in these huge towns and cities, and that's all. They're not like small towns, or smaller towns in between. However, we can still see the effects of how densely populated Ekiti is. Ekiti is the smallest state in southwest Nigeria with the size of about 6,300. I think that's just about the same size as Abia State, but with less population. And that is it, my dears. Oh, I missed one. There's also the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, where most of the population is centered around Abuja, just like how the population of Kano State is centered around Kano. The population, which is a lot, about 4 million people, have now moved and are living in Abuja. Abuja is the indigenous land of the Bagi, I think Bagi people. There are so many people that lived here. However, the federal government in the 70s decided that this area that is the geographical center of Nigeria was going to become the capital. It made strategic sense, yeah, to move the capital from just open water to far into the center of the city, Gong Gong, protected by two huge rivers. And if you're coming from the north, desert and very vast land. Yeah, here it's thick rainforests, so many urban cities to pass through first. So it's literally protected in the center of the city of the country. And that, my dears, is the 10 most densely populated states, including the FCT of Nigeria. Thank you and goodbye.